Digital adventurers. Not only outside but inside. And Mark Pesce is one who has been ahead of the rest of us. He is the guy who came out with Vermal, VRML, which is a virtual reality modeling language, and now he's on to Blitzcom. A way to change our thinking about entertainment.
Hopefully.
Mark, how come you, of all people, into entertainment? You were into ritual.
Well, there's very little difference between a good stage performance and a good ritual performance. That's basically my starting point. I figure if we can get people interested in the entertainment aspects, if we can pull them in, if we can cross the boundary, if we can suspend disbelief, well, that's the same thing as ritual. Ritual is doing something magically so much that you believe in it.
People that play, say, computer games for a long time, they ritualize it, don't they?
There's certainly ritual behaviors that are associated with that kind of any kind of highly repetitive action. Part of what I'm thinking in all of this is that if a computer can't make you laugh, if it can't tickle your tiny funny bone, it's not reflecting our own humanity. And I think it's a mistake to create a device and invest a lot of time in it and not have it be fully reflective. If the computer's a mirror, if that mirror doesn't laugh, then we're going to stop laughing the longer we look in the mirror.
You know my saying, information, you know, talking about it, a bit is only information if it bites. But so you want...
Exactly.
You want the bits to bite in a different way, bite my funny bone.
It'd be a very gentle bite along the funny bone, exactly. A nuzzle, maybe. You want the bits to nuzzle.
Blitzcom, tell me a little bit more. It's a company because you started with Vermal, what you called Vermal, which was a first attempt to bring virtual reality onto the screen.
Right.
Now we have Apple has a virtual what is called VR
QuickTime. They have QuickTime VR, but Netscape and Microsoft are both standardized on VRML as the thing that's inside the browser. So really what we have now is a whole bunch of platforms that are out there that are ready and that are waiting. And now what we need is some reason for people to use it. Now, my mother, for instance, shouldn't be aware of the fact that she's using VRML. What she should be aware of is she's watching Dilbert, hugely popular American cartoon character, in 3D on her desktop. She's just watching Dilbert do something funny. Or, for instance, the character that we're working with right now at Blitzcom is Lara Croft. Lara Croft is a cyber superstar. She's the star of the game Tomb Raider. She's incredibly well known. She was on the U2 tour this year. So we're taking her and we're now bringing her onto the web, not so we can have her in a game, because no one really wants that. What we want to do is we want to provide her character and story. We want to do the things that people don't do in games. People love Lara Croft, not just because she kicks the shit out of wolves in the maze in Tomb Raider, but because they feel identification with her. And that identification is then a pathway to create stories about...
Wait a minute. You're humanizing computers. That's against the law, isn't it?
No, absolutely not. If they're reflecting us, I mean, when the monkey looks in the mirror, no God looks out. If we're anthropomorphizing Lara Croft, what we're doing is we're taking characters from our own being and applying them to her. I mean, Lara Croft's very powerful among women, not just because she's got huge tracts of land, but because she's actually a powerful feminine character. And so a lot of women have gotten into Tomb Raider as well as a lot of men, because they're seeing at least something about Lara Croft, which is saying something that they want to represent in their own lives. And so they're becoming connected to the character. But the thing is, in a video game, you have no story. A video game is all about action. There's no story involved, or there's the minimal thread of story.
And no character development.
Almost no character development. But what we can do now is we take the character and place her now into a narrative entertainment medium. We can provide the story. Why is Lara here? Why does she act this way? And what you do then is you build loyalty to the character, because it now transitions from just being an action show to a soap opera. And those are the two.
Mark, you know,
Those are the two dominant forms of not only entertainment but storytelling that have existed for at least 10,000 years.
The oral tradition.
The Epic of Gilgamesh is both soap opera and action-adventure. It's equal parts both. We've certainly refined them and we've watered them down over the years to some sort of very essential forms, but these are the forms that define what it means to be a human in at least the post-Neolithic era.
Let's get down to money, because I know that Vermal for you was a kind of act of love. You made it is, like Tim Berners-Lee, he made the World Wide Web,
Exactly.
and there's the same energy. We do this because it helps
Right.
the folks
Right.
forward, but you never personally profited really from it. You made a performance here or there, you got a ticket here or there, but that's it.
Right.
Now Blitcom is going to make you rich.
I don't know if it'll make me rich, but Luke, there's a real backdoor strategy here. See, the thing I really want to see is I want to see VRML to become ubiquitous. Not in the sense that it's distributed everywhere, in the sense that everyone's using it. How do I do that? I put the characters that people know and love in it, and they come. So in fact, it's still another act of love. If it makes me rich, well, it might make me rich. I don't think so. It's barely making me a living right now.
But what you're saying is,
It's fun because I'm also using the other side of my brain. I'm not using the side that creates programming languages or designs or teaches them. I'm using the side of my brain that now works on character development, story development, directing, script writing. So these are all the other sides of my brain. So there's an enormous win for me in terms of that, as well as hopefully a win for VRML as characters start to show up in VRML that people love.
what you're saying is that VRML needs a killer app, and you're trying to make it.
It needs a couple of killer apps. It needs a killer app in entertainment, and it needs a killer app in business. This is probably the killer
Business. Now we have seen some people work with VRML making the stock market come alive.
Right. And you're going to see in the first quarter of this year, and I can't talk about it yet, but you're going to see a bunch of product releases about VRML being used for data visualization, integrated with the normal PC, integrated with the normal PC applications. And when that starts to happen, people will say, okay, well, it's not the eschaton. It doesn't solve every problem we ever had with computing. But what it does is gives us a really good, convenient, distributable, webbable data display format. So that when I'm spitting graphs out of Excel or I'm spitting things out of PowerPoint, I can then take that, post it right up on the web, and everyone can use it.
Okay, so business with VRML, entertainment.
Right.
What about religion? Because that's your other. Well, Mark has many sides, as you you realize.
I've seen a lot of people who are starting to construct sacred spaces in VRML. In some ways, these all harken back to the Cyber Sound, which is a sacred space we constructed almost 4 years ago now, so that we could have a ritual of Samhain or Hallows or whatever you want to call it in whatever tradition you practice, but it's the Halloween part of the cycle. So we could actually show the similarity between real space and cyberspace. I expect that we will see other people creating sacred objects, and in fact we have seen people creating sacred objects in cyberspace and placing them out there for people to work with as magical objects or sacred objects. My own work has been centered around something called Web Earth, because I consider the planet itself a sacred object. And last year I created a model, and this is now up on the web, it's been on the web for about a year, which creates a real-time view of the Earth in 3D using VRML.
Like from space?
Yeah, from satellite. It uses composite satellite images, and it actually creates it so you just go and hit the web page, and there you have spinning on your desktop the Earth from space right now.
Then you can look at your own village?
You can't zoom in on it yet because I don't have that access to that kind of satellite data. However, if the governmental organizations involved who happen to hear this want to offer it to me, I'll be more than happy to take it.
But that's the ideal, that people could
ideal.
look from space and say, hey, that's where we live.
It's not just being able to take a look at it, but then also being able to take a look at it through a couple of different filters. Take a look at it through a population filter, take a look at it through an economic filter, take a look at it through a pollution filter, all right? And take a look at it through a life expectancy filter, and then start to correlate. When people can actually drop these filters onto the Earth's surface, they'll be able to see for themselves the tight loops of ecology, of economy and psychology that make up why they live the way they live. And if they want to change them, if you want to look over New York City and see that there's no ozone over New York City, which there isn't most of the time, people may say, we better not drive the car, we better not use the air conditioner, so on and so forth. If you can demonstrate or visualize the loops in ecology, then people will modify their own behavior, because they won't.
You're a frustrated teacher, aren't you?
You
You still want to change the world.
No, I just want to show people. I just want to show people and let them make up their own minds. I figure as long as I show them, I've done my part. Because you can't change another person. Come on, that's the first rule of magic, is you have no control over the will of others. But what you can do is you can intend to show people things and let them make up their own minds.
Make up your own mind about Mark Pesce and his ideas.
All right.
Ja, we zijn hier op de Digital Be-in en de organisator daarvan is Michael Gosney. Hij doet dat al jaren. De Digital Be-in is eigenlijk een voortzetting van de Human Be-ins uit de 60er jaren. Michael, how did it start?